What I'm about to confess to is something that I will always regret, and I will never tell anyone in person for reasons you will obviously soon know. I have a friend who I will call Dave. Dave is a very wealthy individual and lives in an upper echelon community. I always go to his house and have fun. We watch sports games, play pool in his game room, and overall enjoy ourselves. Dave had a Lamborghini in his driveway. I say had because the thing I did was steal that Lamborghini. One night when me and Dave were hanging out at his house, he got a call that required him to leave for work. Apparently, the night shift needed a filled spot, so he chose to help them out. He told me I could stay at the house for the night still, as it was something I always do at times anyway, and him leaving for work made things no different. I forgot to mention he also had a Tesla in his garage, and he decided to drive that car to work. Once he left, the thought of taking the car arose. I still don't know why till this day, but it was something I wanted to do so badly. After about 25 minutes of thinking, I got up and found the keys to his car in his room, immediately getting in the car and driving off. I took the car to my house and caught an Uber back to his. I went to sleep, and the next day I told him that someone must have broken in while I was asleep and took the keys. I know you might be thinking what I did with the car in my own driveway. Well, I sold it for money. And I will never tell Dave ever. I robbed a gas station. Yes, I robbed a gas station. It all started when me and one of my friends Jim was looking at each other's financial states. We were poor and worked at the same retail store in the state of Ohio. I was struggling to pay my car note and he was struggling with his child support payments. Not to mention the overwhelming bills and rent we were subjected to. The economy has gotten really bad, and honestly, I don't care how anyone feels about what I'm about to say. I think I'm justified in everything we did that day. It began when we both got off work on the same day. Jim followed me to my car, which wasn't really strange since he is my friend, but he didn't say a word the whole time. Once I reached the driver door, Jim put his hand on top of the car. I got a plan to get us some good money and fast. Jim was looking at me with wide eyes like he'd just seen something scary. I smiled and inquired of this plan of his. That's when he ran down the plan to rob the gas station up the street from where he lived. At first, I was planning on objecting to the idea, but then I thought to myself, I'm broke, we're both broke, what is there really to lose? I agreed to Jim's plan and shook on it. We set the plans to begin the robbery at 3 a.m. That's when we figured would be the best time, since probably no one would actually be there besides maybe one or two people. When I got home, I didn't even take a shower. I just put on the clothes that I had in mind to wear for the robbery and sat on the couch, thoughts moving about in my mind. I thought about forfeiting the mission, but every 30 minutes I got a text from Jim asking if I was still down. It seemed like he even figured I would think about quitting, and he was right about having those thoughts. 3 a.m. came and Jim sent another text, this one saying that he was outside and ready to go. I grabbed my mask and headed outside. He didn't have the headlights on, and even when we began down the street they were still off. We drove slowly the whole way to the gas station and parked in the front. Jim looked over at me and lifted his gun. I did the same, and we both shook heads in confirmation of being ready to go. We bolted out the car and into the gas station, screaming as we pointed our guns in the cashier's face to give us all the money, threatening his life in the process. He panicked and threw all the money on the counter. I put the money in the bag I brought, and we bolted right back out the station. This time Jim turned on the headlights, and instead of driving slowly he drove fast. We got to his house quickly since it was just down the street from the gas station, and laughed to each other. We had cleared a good amount of money and were feeling good about everything. Since then we never got caught and have even been thinking about doing more crimes since then. Never did I see myself in a situation where I would be doing a home invasion, but here I am typing this event for you all to read. Like most crime, it stems from being down on your luck, and that's what I was. I was broke, didn't have a car that was reliable, and I didn't even know if I would be able to pay the rent next month. This had me in a great deal of stress that I can't even describe to this day. I was shaking in bed at night, unable to get sleep because I was worrying if I would even be able to sleep in the bed I was in at the time. I was so broke I had resorted to doing odd side gigs from Craigslist ads, and that ended soon after one of them ended up being someone trying to rob me. The irony is that was the thing that lit the spark in my mind to consider doing a home invasion. I know it sounds crazy to think that way, but that was the headspace I was in at the time. I was broke, as I've stated many times already, but I still owned a gun and had a Michael Myers mask from Halloween a few years back. This was the gear I used to do my home invasion. The gun I had was a Desert Eagle, and I honestly didn't plan on using it, of course. It was only in case of extreme emergency. I still remember the events like it was yesterday. Sunday morning at 12 a.m. was when I began to put all my plans in motion. I got in my car and without hesitation began to drive to my destination. I had already picked the house a week prior. It was in a wealthy neighborhood, and I knew they would have things of value on top of me stealing all the credit cards I could find in the house. It took me 20 minutes to get there, and when I did I was shocked to see the lights to the house still on in the kitchen. I quickly turned off my headlights and began scouting the house for 20 minutes, the same time it took for me to get there. The lights never went off though. This almost discouraged me to enter, but a thought in the back of my head would not allow me to leave. I figured if I had to strong-arm someone I would do just that. I had a Desert Eagle after all. I eventually got out the car and slowly approached the back side of the house. To my surprise, the back door was open. I couldn't believe it and almost thought I was dreaming. I entered, tiptoeing around, grabbing everything of value I saw. I smiled as I noticed the door to one of the rooms was wide open. It was the room of the man and woman who lived there, likely husband and wife. They were sound asleep, the husband snoring loudly. I slowly went to the nightstand, grabbing all the things in it I found valuable and putting them into my backpack. I found the wallet of the man and put it in my backpack, going over to the woman's side of the bed and doing the same thing there as well, taking her wallet and walking out slowly with a smile. As I began to go down the stairs I tripped and fell down the stairs, hitting my shoulder on the wall in front of me. I rushed out the house after that and drove away. Don't know if they ever woke up.